Hello, my loves. This conversation is focused on creativity. If you see yourself as a creative with a capital C, if you want to uncork your level of what you're offering to the world, how you're managing creative projects, any form of art that you create, whether it's your own personal website or how you send a text message or the branding for your project or the posters on the lemonade stand this summer, this is for you. And this might be for anybody else who wants to consider what creative integrity and heart-centered communication looks like, sounds like, and feels like in a world that has become very noisy with upside down, wacky Wednesday kind of branding. And I would actually put in the category of creatives, managers, teachers, leaders of all kinds, really actually humanity. So this is for everybody. Before we get into it, let me give you your 2 gift codes for today. The doors are open on my heart-centered membership. We're going to let all kinds of new good souls in until June 30th. This is what you need to know. I have a life track and I have a business track. If you head to daniellelaporte.com/membership, just check out the tone, the vibe, the body, mind, spirit support system, and sometimes we've got some stuff for your work in the world. These are your 2 codes. LIFE15, LIFE15, gets you $15 off your first month in the membership, which is typically $25. If you want to come into the business track because you want to have 2 jam sessions a month with us on creative integrity and tech stack and building your work in the world, then you go to checkout and you use the code BIZ50, BIZ50. That gets you $50 off of your first month in the business track, which is normally $75. And I can pretty much guarantee you every single month I will help you generate way more than $75 with this kind of business input and clarity. I have to put a time limit on this because we're closing the membership container so that we can all just be in community, go deep, keep it sacred, keep it quiet. We'll not open this up for registration again, probably until January, February 2025. So these discount codes are going to work until this Tuesday, June 25th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Why 1 p.m. on Tuesday, June 25th? Because that's when we open our first workshop for the Summer of Love theme in the Heart Center membership. It's called Actually Healthy Validation because there's a shadow side to validation, and then there's a really luminous, healthy side to desiring validation and giving it. So these are the kinds of monthly workshops that we have in the life track of the Heart Center membership. If you want to join live, you have to actually be in the membership. So come on in, daniellelaporte.com/membership. All right, let's talk about creatives. This is for my potentially reluctant marketers, those of you who are just like, ew, marketing, yuck. This conversation is also for my gifted writers, for my project managers, anybody who's feeling blocked around any form of creativity, feel like it's too arduous to polish your work and get it out into the world, overwhelmed because you are that kind of Renaissance creative and you don't know where to start because you have so much giftedness to choose from, flustered because you're working with people who just don't get you. And are you wondering, like, is this stuff that I'm putting out into the world actually going to attract, convert, enroll people? Then here you have it. This is an excerpt from a class I recently gave in the business track of the Heart Center membership. We kept it really high and philosophical this time. Moving forward, these classes, because they're going to be more contained and private for members only, going to be a little more gritty, Q&A, hands-on. This conversation is about how to keep it real, be in integrity, find your voice, and also stay on top of what's happening with technology, with people's relationship with content, social media, and how everything's getting delivered online and otherwise. So this is both philosophical and operational. 14 guidelines for creative integrity. Let's get into it. So here's the intention today. This is going to be left brain and right brain. This is yin and yang. So I want to do what I can to inspire you to find your authentic voice and have so much more joy in what you're creating. And I think when that happens, we create content that is more resilient. I think I should have called this content resiliency because that's a cool term nobody's used. We'll get into it. It's about making things that you are proud of, that are repurposable, that stand the test of time, that work on multiple platforms, that you are happy to share. Okay. And I want to do what I can to inspire you to move into simpler systems for creating. Okay. Let's get into the 14 questions and guidelines. Before you press publish, before you even sit down and you put pencil to paper and it's all loosey-goosey, you have to ask if it inspires you, the maker, you first. Forget about your audience. When you get into that, not all the time, but sometimes when you get into that transcendental state of creating your offering, whether it's a pitch presentation, PowerPoint, whether it's for something that you're going to do in person or it's a chapter, my experience is you get into that space and you actually, for a minute, you forget who you're writing for. It just has to be said because you're inspired to say it. And if you can start from that pinnacle, it's going to be a good thing. You don't think about what your father's going to think of it. You don't think about if it's going to translate to TikTok, if it's going to work on YouTube. You don't think about your book deal. You just say what needs to be said, and then you edit later. Don't think about your audience. Do you believe your own stuff? Do you believe it? This is a question I ask myself. Would the 20-year-old me, would the less healthy me, would the less wise me benefit from this? Because maybe I'm not inspired by what I'm writing today, but I know it's going to help somebody. I'll talk quickly about having two avatars. Let me tell you a story about working with an actor. I was doing some rep theater in Seattle. This was like many years ago. And we were doing this play, and this woman who was like really sophisticated and lovely had to play this kind of spiteful, not in integrity kind of character. And her lesson to the theater troupe was you have to find something to love about the character you're playing, even if you're playing the villain, or you cannot play them. So lots of times we are all going to be in positions of serving people who are 20 years behind us. That's what it means to be a teacher. We have a little more knowledge, skill, wisdom to offer to them. We've got to be compassionate to them, for them, or we can't teach them. You got to find something to love. And then all of us are probably going to get in touch with a member that's annoying, a client that we want to fire, that one person who's having the outbursts and whatever we're trying to facilitate. You got to find a way to love those characters. Okay, I'll tell you quickly about having two customer avatars. So I just told this story to our inner circle people. I'm at a speaking gig in London, Piccadilly, St. James. I notice this pattern in questions that I'm getting. Two kinds of women in different parts of different stages of their life asking these questions. One kind of question, because it's usually, you can have 10 people and then they're really just asking two things. One kind of question is about stuckness. This kind of woman wants to break free. She's in her 20s and she's in her 30s. She's part of my avatar. We named her Stephanie. I don't want to go have margaritas with Stephanie, but I really want to help Stephanie with her learning curve. And this was a breakthrough for us. We have two customer avatars. I have two people who are magnetized to what I write, probably what you write as well and what you create. You got to choose which one you're going to write to, because the other one's just going to come along for the ride. The other one is the looky-loo who wants to see what's happening. Our other customer avatar, we named Elise. I want to have margaritas with Elise. Elise has had her panic attacks. Elise is probably divorced. Elise probably left corporate America and built something new. Elise is on her next chapter on her own terms. I write for Elise. I brand for Elise. I package for Elise. Elise just so happens to be most of my girlfriends. So, question, who's your avatar? Who are you writing for? If you're in an industry where this fits, write to your girlfriends. Write like your girlfriends are coming to your sales page. Write like your girlfriends and your best dude friends are going to be part of your membership. Write like they're the people you're trying to heal in that 90-minute workshop that you're giving in real time. Resonance, touchy-feely wins. Okay. Is this actually useful? Can I just be a little bit spicy right now? There is so much shit out there that is not even useful. It's not worth the pixelation. It's not worth charging your phone for. It is filler. You cannot be writing stuff that's not useful. You cannot have people on your team regurgitating your stuff and trying to repurpose your stuff. So this is what I ask. Is someone going to get healing results from this? From everything. This is why I believe that creating better content makes you a more conscious individual. Are these 140 characters of service to the person really useful? If I'm talking to my avatar, is this stuff that they already know? How many times do you go to an influencer, a course maker, a content creator, and you think, well, I know this. This is so obvious. Is this clickbait? What is this? Okay, so let me give you some hooks. 5 counterintuitive ways to do this. People are coming to you for your wisdom. The ultimate life hack is wisdom, right? 4 surprising facts. 1 breakthrough idea or phrase. Say this and everything changes. And those hooks can come from you directly. Like you can be the wisdom generator of that, or you can be curating that wisdom. 5 counterintuitive ways to run a meeting. And you could be quoting 5 different master facilitators or coaches or the Brene Browns, et ceteras of the world. Okay. You know what works for me as a brand? And I rarely refer to myself as a brand, but here we are, is adding the metaphysical layer into the sandwich, because that's why we're all here. So a heart-centered approach to business, a metaphysical approach to mapping out your creative content, metaphysical days of the week for business planning. Okay. Write to your most difficult to convert audience that you love the most. Who is that? It's your friends with money. It's your friends who know you. They know you don't have it all together. They respect you. They know your brilliance. Your friends are busy. They are informed. You are hanging out with sophisticated people, I'm guessing. At least your bestie. Wouldn't it be amazing if your bestie were your avatar? You know them. And maybe your bestie is 10 years behind you, but write to your toughest, coolest audience. And by cool, I mean hip. Maybe they're not your friends. Maybe it's just people you serve in a different way. So to do that, you have to be really useful and you have to be warm and you have to speak in their language. You have to go where they are, which we'll get into in a second. To do that, so every word in this is strategic. You cannot be insecure. You don't go have tea with your friend. You don't converse with your bestie to impress them. You're not out to impress your avatar. You're out to connect with your avatar. They can be impressed by your bio. You're here to just show up. Genuine, warm service, no bravado. Bravado converts and it's exhausting. Okay. Would I share this? Who would I share this with? So you write a post, you're going to post something in your stories. It's a meme. You're working on your memes. You're working on your quotes. Would you forward that to somebody? I can tell you how many times when we've worked with writers in the past, we'd say, okay, here's the assignment. We've got an Excel document full of 300 quotes, Danielle quotes. Or here's the assignment. Go through 5 years worth of blog posts and pull out what you think are truth bomb, gold nugget, meme-like one-liners. And some of them would slip through and get by me and they would get posted. And I think, That is so boring and taken out of context. I can't even believe I said that. I would not forward this. Wouldn't forward it to a friend. So, does your stuff feel strong enough to you that you'd want to share it with the people you respect who need it? If not, don't put it out. The people you respect who need it. Again, you might be 20 years ahead of them, but okay. Is this wise? So, context, right? This is about creating heart centered content. So, let's talk about what wisdom is. This is the opposite of filler. This is my definition of the sequence of how I think content goes. Information is facts. All facts are negotiable, questionable. Knowledge is when you explain why the facts are the facts, or you back up those facts. This is why this might be that way. Wisdom, in a more metaphysical sense, finds the common ground in everything. This is what's related. This is why we're all connected. And producing wise content has a lot to do with being compassionate. But this solution would be for the benefit of many people. This tweet, this opinion, this graph is on behalf of goodwill. Or I look at how it could harm people. I mean, we're all wanting to be inclusive in all ways. Will this bring us together? Will this divide us? Where's my ego in my copywriting? There's so many times, this usually happens at 11:30 at night. I got me a big, juicy opinion and I put it out and I think, I'm right. I'm right about this. I'm right about what's moral and ethical according to me. I'm right about what's happening in the influencer scene. If one little new influencer reads this, they're going to be hurt. Don't post it. Speak about the industry in general and offer two options. And then maybe someone can identify as the light side. Maybe someone's going to identify as like Darth Vader. If you have been fast forwarding or multitasking through this episode, I totally get it because I'm a chronic multitasker myself. Although when we get together for my heart-centered membership workshops, we do one workshop at the beginning of every month, always on a Thursday, always at 1 p.m. Pacific, because that hits all time zones around the world. What I do is I just give a gentle nudge, a request that if people cannot multitask through the workshop, they will get the learning so much more deeply and the healing will happen with a little bit more certainty. So if you've been multitasking, just let me pop in here to remind you. Heart Center membership is open. I've got a life track, I've got a business track, and I've got some sweet discounts for you right now. And these gifty codes last until 1 p.m. Tuesday, June 25th, because that's when we're doing our first workshop in the body, mind, spirit division of the membership. It's all about actually healthy validation and shifting our relationship to our needs. So go to daniellelaporte.com/membership. Do it on your phone. Do it on your laptop. I've got two codes for you. Come into the life track. The code is LIFE15. You get your discount. Or come into the business track where you get some really legit support for conscious careering. The code for that is BIZ50. So let me give you some examples of info. Breaking up with someone over text will save you a lot of time. That's information. Knowledge is breaking up over text is becoming more socially common. We're building a fact on that fact. Wisdom is breaking up over text can affect both people long term. So all of those as headlines are true and would be good. They're compelling, but why don't we produce wise content? I'll give you another option. We have a breath work in our inner circle. Breath work is a healing modality that dates back thousands of years. Who cares as a headline? Information as headlines, boring. Knowledge. Breath work is being used in the workplace and prisons for mental clarity. Okay, that's cool. That's catchier. I'm still not in because it hasn't translated into wisdom yet. Breath work creates mental clarity, which dissolves anxiety and boosts creativity. So if you speak wisdom If you are wise in your content, it will be more evocative and compelling because the solution is always in the wisdom. And the beauty is it helps more people than being the critic. Okay, is every word intentional? Words embody energy. Words embody energy. We could get into the esoterics of this. You take the intentionality of divine love in your heart and you engage your throat chakra and you let your words, so you've got love and intention, you've got mental clarity, and you put it on top of a wave of energy called sound. Powerful. Your word actually is your wand, whether you are speaking it or whether you are just writing it. So we have a list of no use words on the team. We don't use killer, we don't use slay, we don't use crush it, hack it, gonna, or wanna. And if you have writers coming on, you need to have a style sheet for your voice. Here's the 5 posts I wrote that performed the best. Here's 3 things I would never say. Here's the words that are in the definite no list, and here's why. Because I'm not a gangster. I'm a teacher, whatever it is. Because I'm in my 40s, not 18. Whatever it is. Because we're about compassion, not about division. Because that would be offensive to my Christian audience. Whatever it is, a list of no words would be really clarifying for your team. And just you, because you have to be the one to create this, you creating your no use word list will help you clarify your brand. Why don't I say gonna? Okay. What do you call your people that you're serving? Are they your users? Zoinks. Who wants to be a user? Are they your client? Are they your customer? Are they your patients? Are they your community, your tribe, your cohort? What do you want to be called? Okay. Elizabeth has gotten into this beautiful practice on our team of coaching everybody to get rest. You know, we just finished a launch, then we took a break to party for wedding and all the things. Now the doors are open for Heart Center membership just until the end of the month. We're in another launch mode. So Elizabeth will say, you know, we will be more productive if we're rested, walk your dog, hydrate, those kinds of things. And Dana, because we are love, Dana was cheering Elizabeth on yesterday and recognizing, and I was like, this is such great leadership. Thank you for doing this. And then I added the D perspective, which is Elizabeth is actually, through her words, her encouragement, she's contributing to the team's programming, mental programming. And what this sounds very forum-like, but like what I'm a stand for is deprogramming, unconditioning the mind so that we can live more from the heart. So I look at myself as a potential programmer. We have to be giving people new scripts. So everything out of your mouth, everything you write, every tweet, every post is a form of programming that someone is going to ingest. So what are you cooking up for them? Okay. This is how I market to Elise. This is why I think people feel seen and loved when they come to our sales pages. I assume the intelligence of the person I'm writing for. If in the times when I've tried to talk down to people to have stickier marketing content, I don't feel great. And I start to it's almost contemptuous. Your copy starts to sound like a dare or a criticism instead of an invitation. If you speak to people like they're lost and they're dumb, what kind of client are you going to get? People who identify as lost and dumb. You'd be talking to the same person. If you speak to people who are in pain and who are showing up for healing and support, that's who you're going to get. It's different language. Same offering from you, but different language. Who do you want to hang out with? Talk to that person. Can you present the problem of theirs that you want to solve without talking down to them? This is how I think you do it. I think you convey understanding. I see you, I feel you, I've been there. Maybe you haven't been there. I see you. Here's the statistics. Here's some data. You're not alone. Here's some data on addiction, on dropping out of courses, on divorce rates, on adrenal fatigue with women in the workplace. You are seen. Welcome, common ground, not you're behind. You feel behind and like you're never going to catch up. Remember, you're programming people. So our way is to, if you go to we just put up a sales page for the Heart Center membership. I present the problem that I'm here to solve with the solution in the same sentence. It's been you tired? I know it's been a rough few years. This is refuge. You this? I know we've got something for you. You don't let people hang out in victim mentality. Okay, assuming the intelligence of people means you might not want to be pricing your stuff at $4.99, $9.95. Early bird specials we have unlimited space. We have unlimited time. Most of us are working in a digital world. Really? No. As Elizabeth, marketing director, says, this is legit that the door has to close. This isn't bro messing with you, that we decided to close the door, say we're closing the doors to create false urgency. That is not assuming the intelligence of the person you're making stuff for. And no manipulation. Is this compassionate? All communication begins with intention. So this is all you really need for copy that you're going to post to anybody. Is it true? This is Buddhist. Is it true? Is it kind? And at 11:30 at night, when you have a big opinion, is it necessary? Two ways to say the same thing. Joe, the waiter, was rude and sloppy. You may be very right. Maybe you don't want people to go to that restaurant. Or you could say the service could have been so much better. You're equally effectual and you haven't harmed an individual. Our content has to be harmless. So much content out there on all sides of all stories and political situations about peace and unity that is actually just laced with violence and division. Not compassionate, it's not inclusive. That influencer is vapid and materialistic. Maybe true, according to your perspective. How about you turn it into a space and you give two scenarios so someone gets to choose how they see themselves. The influencer space is a mix of hustlers and wisdom keepers. Who's that going to offend? Nobody. And it's true. Okay. Is it beautiful? Beauty's my jam. This is how I see, I want to talk specifically about websites for a second. This is how I see websites now. So we used to spend gobs of money on exclusive code and just eccentrically designed websites. It could do all these things. It made toast for you. And then there was a pop-up and a thing and a thing and a thing. And that leaves you victim to your web designer because you can never make a change without calling your web designer. And a last minute thing, and you find a typo late at night and all this stuff. Okay. I've got years and years worth of content, and I'm really attached to my brand. And it's been out there long enough, Danielle Helvetica. You could probably look at a few things and think, that comes from Danielle. We now are on a template website. If you would have told me, I would never have believed you. So I was thinking about this last night when I was thinking about creativity and hanging out with everybody. And this is why I can live with and celebrate that we're using templates. So templates like Show It. Show It is a template design structure. Or what's the one we use for WordPress? It's not Elementor. Elizabeth, what is it? Is it Elementor? Did I remember the name? Okay, we use Elementor templates because that speaks nicely to WordPress. We're not getting off of WordPress. And we use Canva. We spent $3.99, something like that, to choose our own colors and get Canva all set up. We just create this mood board and our design guide in advance, and then anybody can Lego it together. I feel that good web design, contemporary web design now is just like newspaper design. Websites are the new newspaper. So you had a good headline and you had columns easy to read structure. You had some pull out quotes and text. And if you're good at it, you have some good pop out images that are evocative and compelling. That's all you need. Everything could be in tiles. You just choose your colors. You don't need the flash, the pop, the thing, the zoom. Why? Because what's the average hangout time on a website? 60 seconds. Do you really want to put $10,000 into your website design? No, you don't. Hi, loves. I want to put one more date on your calendar. It is Wednesday, June 26th. I'm having an open house to describe everything that's going on in the Danielle Heart-Centered ecosystem, Heart-Centered membership, the life track, the business track. We can talk about the leadership program. We can talk about facilitating. And when I do open houses, I know I get some observers who are coming just to check out how we run a membership, how we run a conscious business that is loving and humane and actually can support a handful of people. So if you go to daniellelaporte.com/open house, it's all free. There's lots to learn. Any question goes. Beautiful is not the same as perfect or curated. If you look at my Instagram feed, it's always a bit of a mess. Always has been, probably always will be. This is one of the few things Gary Vaynerchuk and I have in common. You look at Vaynerchuk's feed, it's a mess. Doesn't care. I don't care. Because I have things to say and we have things to get out the door. And I think far ahead about content I want to create and where I want to bring everybody. I am not going to spend my energy or have someone on my team spend their energy in making sure the tiles match up. And we're doing this on a particular day. It's hard enough to manage an editorial calendar of substance, let alone worrying about this visuals. So, and maybe that's your thing. Maybe that highly curated quilt is actually part of your brand. Then go for it. Do it well, be consistent. Create mood boards for all of your projects. You create a mood board first for your graphic designer. You can create a mood board for somebody who writes with you or for you. If you do it first, so go to Pinterest. Pinterest is your graphic design buddy. Go look at fashion websites. Maybe you're just designing your coaching website. Why do you love what you love out there? And then you hand that over to your graphic designer so that the graphic designer's vision doesn't eclipse you. And then if you really want to nerd out, go check out Edward Tufte, edwardtufte.com, and learn about information visualization and why beauty matters and structure matters and typeface matters. Okay. And then you have to get opinions. Doesn't matter how gorgeous you think your stuff is or how long you've been a graphic designer, you've got to let other people look at your stuff. We did this great photo shoot and I was in all this arty, dancey kind of pose. I showed the shot. I was like, they're like, yeah, but if you look at it this way, it just looks like a bum. I was like, it just like my shoulder and the thing and you can never unsee the bum. It's like, so, okay. How can you make it more playful and human? So I watched a documentary on the making of Finding Nemo. And they had a practice on the team that every scene they stopped, they thought it was finished, and they asked, how can we make it funnier? And they would have jam sessions and sometimes focus groups just on one scene. How could we make this funnier? What's your guiding question? Can I make this deeper? Can I make it shorter? A guiding question for me is, can I make this more playful and human? So here's my rhythm. I give them the hook, and this translates into the title of a blog post or something you're going to post into your Instagram feed as a reel or the opening chapter of a book. You have your hook. This is how I go. Hook, deep, deep, playful, back to deep, invite. It's got to have breath. I'm talking about, I want to get you, there's, a common nectar-like title. It says, I'm going to help you get out of your pain. I've got a solution for you. I want to go deep right away so you know where you are. I've got you. This is a place for elegance and knowledge. Let's stay deep. Let's stay deep. Okay, we're all human again. Just one little joke, a funny thing. And then back to deep, land it. And then you've built some trust and you give them your invite. Okay, anybody want to share brands that they gravitate towards because the brands are playful? Fun. You go there for fun. Or just brands that you respect. Could be any industry. It could be your industry of coaching. It could be shoes. It could be fragrance. It could be yoga celebrities. It could be influencers. You like Trader Joe's. It's a great beginning. Whose branding do I like? Okay. Do these aspirational brands for you show up in your own brand? All of that could be on your mood board. So I know we're trying to design websites and logos and have photo shoots, but you could take Le Creuset or Hanky Panky into a mood board for your branding session or for your graphic designer. Does your website look like your living room? Maybe you don't want it to look like your living room. But if we're really being consistent, if we're showing up as we are, your home design should show up in your digital visuals. Does the format that you're delivering things in meet people where they live? So, where do your people hang out? How do you know? You ask them. You got to survey your people. Are you reading me on your phone? Or do you listen to things on Spotify or Apple? Would you rather this in print? How'd you hear about me? Where do you hang out? Are you on LinkedIn? Just ask them. Do you like my text? So I was doing text for a while in my Heart Center membership. And I thought I want to simplify things for everybody. And we said, oh, we won't do text anymore. Outcry. Had no idea everybody was opening the texts. Got to do surveys because you can't see open rates of all the platforms that you're on. Hi, is it easy to read? If you are a graphic designer and you work with me, you have to have a printer. Hello, millennials and Gen Z. How can you make things that people are going to print out when you haven't tested it out yourself for margins and readability? Okay, $49. You can get a printer now at Staples, no excuses. Okay, 80% of digital content is ingested on people's phones. So don't worry so much about your website. Worry if it works on mobile. That's the first, you got a good designer if they're like, that's the first question. Well, I don't think it's going to translate to mobile. That's where you want to work out the bugs. 80% of social media ingested is done through captioning. So you've got to have captions on all of your stories, on all of your videos. People are not listening. Well, 20% of them are. 80% of them want to read it because they're doing it at their cubicle, or they're doing it, they don't want to disturb anybody, or they're just scrolling. I just saw a great video meme, and it was like a quiet little cat reading, low volume. This is how women take in their information on their phone when it's audio. Quiet. We don't want to disturb anybody. But dudes are like big barking dogs, and it's like cranked up, and everybody can hear it. And it's like, that is my experience. We are using, so in Vision Board, I don't know if any of you were using that software where it's sort of like a mood board. You can drag things around. And Vision Board is closing down this year. We are now using something called Figma. So our visual projects go into Figma. You can drag and drop. You can work from multiple locations. Can newbies understand what you're writing? So I'm going to quote Bill Gates. How uncharacteristic. If you can't see the business plan, you've already missed the opportunity. That's what your copy should feel like. So if you can't explain it in a paragraph, you need to just think a little more about it. Can you explain what you're teaching about in a sentence that a neophyte could understand? And then go from there. It's way harder to write one paragraph than it is a chapter on something. It's harder to write 3 sentences than it is to write the paragraph. If you can just do the one sentence that anybody can get, then you're good. Okay, this is the last one, point number 14. Then we'll open it up. Does this respect people's time? Oh, I wanted to say something about visuals. I missed. White typeface on pastel colors does not translate. Every influencer, 80% of influencers online need to get this. Doesn't work. People have to zoom open. Any of us with glasses, we cannot read white text. Doesn't pop. Okay. Does this respect people's time? One thing that we keep learning, it's a great lesson to learn, is I have a habit of over delivering. When you over deliver, you overwhelm people with information. And if you overwhelm people with information, they can't absorb it and retain it. They feel not successful. I've learned that if I can say it in 2 modules instead of 10, why wouldn't I? A lot of us add on the extra module, the extra paragraph, the freebie, because we're questioning our value, because we're questioning the actual literal value of something, our price point. Like, oh, this is a $50 thing. I better add another thing. Oh, listen, you just think about the potential transformation from the offering. Is that $50 worth of transformation? Or is that $150 worth of transformation? Okay, you might be able to just say it in a 3-page something. Doesn't need to be all the things. Nourish System, the $333 program we have to help regulate your nervous system in a more through a spiritual metaphysical lens. 8 modules, should have been 4. Now I got to go back and clean it up. Okay, last one. Redundancy can be a form of love. Not always, but in terms of the digital space. Do not resist repurposing. So Gary Vaynerchuk says, content makers who we're producing a lot of stuff on multiple platforms. Every content maker team should have one person full-time who's just repurposing content. Now, I don't know if all of us need a full-time person who just repurposes, but that is definitely the job that somebody else could do. And maybe it's something you want to keep your arms around. But having someone go through all of your blog posts, having all of your podcasts transcribed, and pulling out one paragraph that could be turned into an Instagram feed post or a reel, or pulling out a 5-minute clip that could then go as a YouTube short or a YouTube long. It's all there. You've been doing this more than 12 months. You could already repurpose. People need to see things multiple times. In in advertising days, it was 3 times they need to see something in a magazine before they acted. Now it's like 7, 12 times. And since only on average 30% of people are seeing what you post on social media, you can say it another 7 times. And if someone is seeing something for the 2nd or 3rd time, it's okay. They love you. They want to see it. Learning retention. Repurpose, 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 repurpose. All right. I'm hoping that some of these guidelines for creative integrity help you feel more lit up to create from your heart with all of your gifts and your talents. And I'm hoping it's affirming to how you've been walking through the world. I mean, this is one of my favorite teachings from A Course in Miracles, is that we are all teaching all of the time, period. The next question would then be, what is it that you're teaching? If you want more support to show up with all kinds of integrity in your relationships, in how you lead, and how you deal with conflict, then I got something for you. Heart Center membership. And I'm talking about it a lot because the doors are closing on June 30th, and we want to welcome in as many people as possible so that I can close the door and we can go deep together. First Thursday of every month for the life trackers. And then also the second Thursday of the month, we do an integration call. You can meet with other people. We're all on the same page of goodwill and harmony and Buddha nature and being of service in the world. And then if you want some support for staying awake in terms of everything from algorithm to soulful marketing, to financial management, I have a business track in the Heart Center membership. Coupon codes, I'll give them to you one more time because they expire this Tuesday, June 25th at 1 Pacific PM, because that is when our first workshop begins. DanielleLaporte.com/membership. Life 15 gets you $15 off of your first month on the Life track. Biz 50 gets you $50 off of your first month within the business track of the membership. Thanks to my cohesive, beautiful, dynamic, best team ever after 15 years of all of this online giving, receiving, making courses, workshopping, membershiping, all of it. I will see you next Wednesday, always with love. Danielle. Thank you so much for listening, for feeling, for spreading the word. With love.